Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Yeah, Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? How you doing? Today's Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. 341 days into the new year, only 24 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Some say on the dark side of the moon, which is a total undisclosed location, but it is beautiful. It is. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer, and UnX Networks. I am your host, Jimmy Church. All right. Rolling right off of Christina Gomez into Fade to Black. How is everybody doing tonight? You know what it is. Tonight, it's the return of Jason Quitt. Man, that's got a good ring to it. Jason Quitt is back. So you just stay put. He'll be with us at the bottom of the hour. All right. Don't adjust your sets. Don't hit on a box or anything. I know right now you're thinking to yourself, Jimmy just said it's the return of Jason Quitt. I did. It is the return of Jason Quitt. So stay put, okay? It's going to be a great night tonight. Tomorrow night, live from Peru, Jorge Luis Delgado. And met and hung out. Did I do a panel? I think I did a panel with Jorge at the Conscious Life Expo. Yes, I did. It's all a blur. It's all a blur, but panels in history. I remember there was a day when I did my first panel. I remember that, I think. Now it's just like one long string of conferences. It's just, it's been a fun ride. Anyway, and he blew my mind. And so much so that at the conference, I found myself constantly going up to him, passing each other in the hallways, on the stairs, asking him more questions. And all he said to me, Jimmy, I just want to come on the show. We can talk here, but can we just talk on the show? Yes. And so the opportunity finally arrived. And tomorrow night, Jorge's going to be with us. I'm very excited about that. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. And so that's Thursday. And I was thinking, I'm going to get to some other stuff tonight here in just a second. And I probably told this story before on the show. I'm gonna hold off until Thursday night, maybe tomorrow night. Tell the story again, because today I was listening to, thank you, Renee. Renee is so good with this stuff. Renee sent me a podcast on NPR with Mel Brooks, and 95 years old. Man, and he sounds just like it's just Mel Brooks, right? So anyway, but he told this story today about when he was hit by a car when he was a kid. And I'm listening to this on NPR, and I started to think that I was hit by a car. I was, and I don't tell that story too much. I don't really, it's not really a good memory. But I thought to myself, and the way that Mel told the story today, I was like, you know what, man, I got to tell my I got hit by a car story again. It's only happened once. Let me tell you, let me say this before I move on. You get hit by a car, you look before you cross the street every single time for the rest of your life. I'm just saying right now, lesson learned. Oh, man. This guy don't walk into traffic anymore. No. Traffic wins. Okay. River Moon Coffee. Okay. Everybody wants their own crystal skull. You need to go to Einstein the Crystal Skull right now. Go and visit Carolyn Ford's website. The banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Go right now and get your next crystal skull. And I'll present to you over the next couple of days some of the new additions to my family. I'm not prepared to do it right now, but there was some other stuff I wanted to show on camera. So I was going through some boxes in the garage, and I found this. This is Michio Kaku, The Physics of the Impossible. Okay? That's his book. And this was released about 10 years ago. But check this out. Autographed. And I was like, wow. And it says, to Jimmy, to a great future in radio. Your radio friend, Michio Kaku. That's what it says. Pretty cool. Found that today, and he called me in the autograph. He calls me a star. It's right here. Oh, man. There you go. I don't think that's quite 10 years old. It's probably 7 years old. Okay, where am I at? Yeah, I was hit by a car. Cars always win. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. The Sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. We don't bite. Come and hang out over there. And everybody over in the chat rooms watching all around the world, wherever you got me right now, how you doing? Let's get to the breaking news. Warp Drive pioneer and former NASA warp drive specialist Dr. Harold G. Sonny White has reported the successful manifestation of an actual real-world warp bubble. That's right. And according to White, this is the first of its kind, a breakthrough by his Limitless Space Institute, otherwise known as the LSI, and the team, right, as they set a new starting point for those trying to manufacture a full-size, warp-capable spacecraft. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Houses have been buried by hot ash after a volcano erupted in Indonesia on Saturday. Mount Semeru on the island of Java engulfed villages, submerging vehicles and leaving glimpses of rooftops behind. 14 people are known to have died and dozens were injured. Dramatic video out of Indonesia. Researchers from the University of Barcelona are investigating 2 tombs in Upper Egypt. That's not upper like north, that's upper as in south, because the Nile runs south to north. So upper is backwards. Okay, so southern Egypt. Okay, at the site of El Banasa. The tombs have been dated to the 26th dynasty between 688 and 528 BC. At the entrance to the first tomb, researchers found 2 sets of human remains whose skulls had been equipped with golden tongues. That's right, equipped with golden tongues to enable them to speak with Osiris. Yeah, dramatic photographs. The sarcophagus are just amazing. Body-shaped. Thick walls, too, like this. Body-shaped. A giant Christmas sweater has been created for a Tyrannosaurus Rex at London's National History Museum. I posted pictures today up in social media of this. It's crazy. The giant animatronic T-Rex is sporting the festive knit, which has been made by a family-run firm in Leicester. British Christmas Jumpers is the company, and the director, Snehal Patel, said the latest design was the company's biggest job yet, and it took his staff 100 hours to complete. You've got to go look at the pictures. Yeah, you've got to. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a Christmas sweater. It's massive. It's really cool. Well, check this out. I'm going to leave you with this. U.S. billionaire Michael Steinhardt has surrendered 180 stolen relics worth an estimated $70 million and agreed to an unprecedented lifetime ban on acquiring antiquities. Investigators found that Steinhardt, one of the world's largest ancient art collectors, was in possession of looted artifacts smuggled out of 11 countries by 12 criminal networks. Authorities began looking into a bull's head statue stolen from Lebanon during the country's civil war, determining that Steinhardt had other looted artifacts at his apartment and office. The investigation was then expanded and involved cooperation with authorities in Bulgaria, Egypt, Greece, Iraq, Israel, Italy, Jordan, Lebanon, Libya, Syria, and Turkey. Items seized included the stag's head rhyton, which dates back to 400 BC, very famous relic. It came to market after looting in Milas, Turkey. Another is Larnax, a chest from Greece, from Crete, actually, used to hold human remains. It dates from 1400 to 1200 BCE. And all of this, he just gave it all back to avoid criminal charges. Dude needs to go to prison. Yeah, I'm going to leave it right there. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, the one, the only, C. Thomas Howell. Man, he was a big name for a minute. C. Thomas Howell, 55 years old today. He was in The Outsiders, and of course, I think he played, what was his name? In E.T., the extraterrestrial, Tyler? Some good scenes with him in that movie. Tom Waits today is 72. Yeah, I'm not going to sing Burgers and Fries. You want me to. I'm not. Our dead guy's birthday today. Moment of silence, please. Harry Chapin, 1942 to 1981, died at the age of 38. Harry was one of the greatest voices in all of music history, with 2 of the biggest hits ever with Taxi and Cats in the Cradle. He had a string of hits, though. He achieved worldwide success in the 1970s. Harry was a Grammy Award-winning artist and a Grammy Hall of Fame inductee and has sold over 16 million records worldwide. Most of that going on in the 70s when those were huge numbers. At one point, 1971, 72, 73, 74, he was like the highest paid performer in the world. Harry recorded a total of 11 albums from 1972 until his death in 1981. All 14 singles that he released became hits on at least one national music chart. Then it happened on the afternoon of July 16th, 1981. Harry, driving, was en route on the Long Island Expressway to perform at a free benefit concert. At 12 12:27 p.m., right after noon, Harry died in a traffic collision with a semi-trailer truck outside of Jericho, New York. He was just 38 years old. Happy birthday, Harry. On this day in history, OTD 1941, a swarm of 360 Japanese warplanes descended on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. And the United States enters World War II. Here's your fader fact. The owner of Café de la Rotonda in Paris would allow starving artists to pay for their drinks with a painting or drawing. Today, the works are now considered priceless. And everybody in Paris that was a painter, every single one of them went there for free drinks. Yeah, man, here you go, Picasso, right? Slap something on the wall. I'm not kidding, man. Everybody drank at the Café de la Rotonda. Tonight, we have very special guests. It is the return of Jason Quitt. JQ is here with us tonight. Tomorrow night, Jorge Luis Delgado is live from Peru. We're going to be talking about ET contact in South America tomorrow night. It's going to be an extraordinary show. Thursday is another fader night with open lines all night long. All right, let me hit this River Moon coffee. Good cup tonight. I got these new bamboo recycled bamboo cups. Man, they're amazing. They don't taste vegan. Don't taste vegan at all. Even got bamboo lids. Yeah, I feel like I did something for the environment. I did. Plus, they look kind of snazzy. Rivermoonwellness.com. All right. All right. Now, little change of pace tonight. I'm going to let you get inside the head of Jimmy Church. What's going on? What makes me do what I do? Well, I'm going to turn it around first. What movie affected you the most? Okay, I need you to stop and think about that. Something that you saw when you were a kid. Something that shaped you to who you are today. I need you to think about this. Everyone has the one. You know, you were a different person before you saw it, and then things just changed. In your head, your life, and your future. Now, it seems like a dramatic question, right? Well, it is not. Because everyone has the one. For my generation, it's too easy for everybody to just jump on Jaws. And I get it. You know, we all have our Jaws stories, myself included. Now, although Jaws may have changed my swimming habits for a summer or two, it didn't change my life. The film has certainly stood the test of time, and today it's truly regarded as a cinematic perfection of filmmaking on every level. But it doesn't get my designation as the one. Now, before I get to my selection, I really want you to take the time to think about it. Be honest with yourself. No cheating, all right? No cheating in your head. Don't say what you think is the right thing. I'm not talking about the Fast Times at Ridgemont High or The Godfather. Really dig deep. Okay? All right? Have you got it? Okay? Or do you think you've got it locked? Right? Are you zoning in? Cool. All right. The film that changed me was The Omen. That's right. Directed by Richard Donner. starring Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, and Harvey Spencer Stevens as little Damien Thorne. It was released in the summer of 1976, and I saw it at the age of 12 at the Fort Harrison Movie Theater in Indianapolis. Every Army base has a movie theater. For the first time, I understood character relationships. I understood storyline. I suddenly witnessed Acts 1, 2, and 3. History, religion, politics, the complexity of husband and wife, mother and child, father and child, great cinematography, editing, and one of the best soundtracks in the history of film, which won an Oscar for Best Original Score for Jerry Goldsmith. I think it was Jerry's only Oscar. More on that later. It also scared the crap out of me on so many levels. Sure, you've got the Antichrist thingy, you know, but this time around it's a cute little boy, right? You've got the historical references and imagery. You've got the family drama. You've got the church scene, incredible. You got the baboons at the zoo, right? You got Damien's nanny who hangs herself at his birthday party. Their priest who was fatally impaled by a lightning rod falling from a church. And of course, you got Rottweilers. And then there are, Mrs. Baylock. I'll leave that right there. I'm just going to leave Mrs. Baylock right there. She tormented me for years, still does. All of this was woven together perfectly by writer David Seltzer, with the haunting choir going at it in the background. Yeah, this is where Ozzy and Randy got the idea for the ending of Diary of a Madman. Every time I hear it today, I think of one thing: the excellence of The Omen. I think one of the reasons for The Omen to have the effect it had on me and anyone else who has seen it revolves around the choice of getting Gregory Peck and Lee Remick to star in this picture. Two absolutely serious and great actors, right? And from the get-go, they show us that this is a serious film, not a horror flick. Now, if you haven't seen The Omen, the original, right? If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go and check it out. And let me know if it's as great as I think, right? Or have I just lost my mind? It's probably a little of both, actually. But don't make the mistake of watching the 2006 remake with Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles. Mia Farrow's in it, too. In fact, never watched the remake ever. How bad was it? Well, I'm only bringing it up because I don't want you to think The Omen and just pick the wrong film. Because over on Rotten Tomatoes, the remake had an approval rating of 26%. With an average rating of 4.6 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, that's really bad. One critic said of the remake, quote, "This film is for people who've never seen the original and who are easily scared by mediocre horror films." End quote. I'm only mentioning this because I wanted Liev to be great. I like Liev Schreiber. And I also wanted to have the feeling that I got back in 1976, but that didn't happen. And then I went back and watched the original after that, and all of the magic was still there, all of it. So when you see The One, you are able to understand all of the films you see after it. Everything becomes more clear, the good and the bad, right? You just understand film from that point forward. And yes, for me, The One was The Omen. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, we have very special guest, the return of Jason Quitt. Tomorrow night, Jorge Luis Delgado is with us. live from Peru. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. There you go. Do you understand what's going on in this head of mine now? The Omen freaked me out. It introduced me to life, actually. It really did. It was the Omen. I'll be right back after this short break with Jason Quitt. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all Rivermoon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
The new KUNXDB, the UNX Network, bringing you the best in paranormal programming in premium high-definition streaming audio and video. Log on to the network at unxnetwork.com and check out the growing lineup of programs, including Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and many more. Sign up for the free UNX newsletter, follow the UNX blog, or pick up the latest edition of the UNX magazine. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out at unxnetwork.com. Tap the show page and the calendar so you never miss your favorite live shows and podcasts. We are your portal for all things paranormal. The X, explaining the unexplained.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Jason Quitt returns. We're going to find out what he's been up to since his last public appearance anywhere. We're going to talk about his new book that is about to be published. And, of course, we're going to get into a little bit of quitness tonight. Jason is a graduate of the Institute of Energy Wellness, a student of the Algonquin Shamanism, and has been training and working with many teachers, shamans, and traditional healers from around the world. Mr. Quitt is also the author of Forbidden Knowledge, Revelations of a Multidimensional Time Traveler, and the Egyptian Postures of Power, Ancient Key Gong System, and the Yosef Codes, too, by the way. Sacred Geometry Mandalas. His website is thecrystalsun.com. And I would like to welcome back, finally, Jason Quitt. How you doing, Jason?
Am I actually here? I'm actually on the Jimmy Church Show.
Yes, you are, my friend. Yes, you are. Now, listen, before we get started, I want to make a little bit of a statement. And it goes like this. Friendship, friends, true friendship is a rare thing. And especially at my age and your age. Our journey together as friends has been special. And only you and I know how special it has been for the two of us. And I'm going to take things a step further. Real friends have trust between them. And tonight I'm going to blow that trust. I'm spilling all the beans. But what I'm saying about that is that trust is important. And where am I going with this? I'm going here. I took it for granted when I called you this week. And you picked up the phone and I said, Jason, it's time. And you said, no, go ahead. What did you say?
I said I was actually going to call you.
That's what friends do. Jason knew it was time. Jason knew it was time. And I think back now, and again, the statement is going to continue. The audience knows you, and they know me, and they know about our friendship, but you know the friendships that I have with my circle of friends. And if you're in the car, you're in the car. If you get thrown from the car door gets shut. That friendship circle is a very special circle to be included into, and I know, and Jason knows what I've been going through personally. And himself and his journey, it's just been incredible what he's been up to over the last couple of years. But that's private, right? And I'm going to say, Jason, thank you for being not only a friend, but being a part of this community. They have missed you. You've been on an important journey, and things always come full circle. Here we are. We're back, and I want to say welcome, my friend. How you doing?
I feel a lot better now. Thank you. Oh, no, it's so strange because I've been away for so long, and I haven't been paying attention too much to the community. I haven't been paying attention to what's been going on in the background. So it's like coming back. It's the first time in a very long time where my heart is actually pounding. Like, this is my first radio interview that I'm doing again.
Yeah, and you know what I said to Jason? I said, man, just relax. See, the thing is that we did so many shows together that it's just second nature. You know, you're a band on tour. It's another night. You know, it's another stage. And you just go out there and get it done. You take a break, right? And then you've got to go back. You got to get your feet, you got to get your sea legs back, but you'll be fine in about 2 minutes.
I think so.
Now, here's okay. Let's just jump straight into things. You've been writing, and you've been writing a lot. And I want to take the time to talk about this. Oh, by the way, I just gave this big speech about being a friend. I went and was digging through books today to pull up a couple of your books, and I was going to show them on camera, and the autographs. And you never signed a book for me.
So I was smart.
Yeah, right. I was like, wait a minute, he's got to have signed one of these. Michio Kaku signed a book for me. I found that. That's
the truth is, I took all my books down about a year ago. So there is no more forbidden knowledge. There is no more Egyptian postures, and there is no more Yosef Codes.
Why?
Because I feel like I've changed so much over the years. And when I wrote those books, they're almost 20 years old.
Right.
People don't know that I've been around for that long. But the information in those books were very old. And especially the Egyptian Postures book, I had to write that very rushed, because when I came out with Forbidden Knowledge with Bob Mitchell, suddenly everybody started to ask how they can get their hands on the Egyptian Postures book. So I just quickly took pictures of myself doing the poses, put the book together and put it out there. And because my life was so busy back then, I never got around to actually update the books. So about a year ago, I decided, this does not represent me anymore. There's so much more information that I need to share that I need to take the time to just, I want to say throw the books out, but rewrite them from scratch from a new perspective. And that's what I've been doing since September of this year. Everyday writing.
Now, how does that work? Is it easier, to rewrite and update in your head, or is that a more difficult process to go through?
The truth is like if I open my book and I read it, it's like me looking back to a time where I didn't know how to write, looking back to a time where there's tons of spelling mistakes and grammar errors.
Right.
And unprofessional pictures. So instead of me trying to open the book and say, I'm going to rewrite this from what I have, the best thing to do is not even open the book.
Right.
And just start writing from where you are right now. And, the big announcement tonight is I am going to be releasing a new Egyptian Postures book. But remember, for a decade now, I've been traveling around the world, especially in Japan. I spend 2 months out of the year in Japan teaching the Egyptian postures. Mm-hmm. And when I teach those courses, they're 6 days long, that course. So, for me to get someone into the Egyptian postures or to know the background history, the mysticism, the spiritual side of it, it takes time to explain and get into the whole mindset of it, which the book that was released previously had none of that. So now it's like I was just telling you, I finished writing about 120 pages, single space typed, and I haven't even gotten into the postures yet.
Right.
That's how much information I need to give to put people in that mindset of, why am I teaching this? Where did it come from? And why is it so special and it needs to be discussed?
Yeah, those 120 pages were missing from the original book then, is what you're saying?
Yes. And there's
300
still more pages.
Actually, that's 300 pages. You said you did 120 single space.
Yeah, so when you translate it to a book, it should be around 200 to 300 or more pages.
So you had 300 pages missing. So the new book is going to be yay thick.
It's going to be a book.
Yeah.
For once. And, like I was talking to you before, is that I don't really tell people the things I do. I don't like anybody knowing what projects I'm working on or anything like that. So I only make announcements or tell my friends even about what I'm doing when it's about 90% finished. And we were talking earlier, it's like, how much time do we have left in this world? We really don't know. And, I don't have any children, not yet, but I don't have any children. So what am I going to leave in this world? So if I want to put something out there, let's say a book, I really want it to be something that I could be remembered for, and it can make an actual impact on people. So it's like I'm giving birth to a new life in this book.
Right.
So I'm very proud of it.
So you just said no children yet. Monica's listening to the show. She just went, what?
She'll be like, I'm not going to say anything. Jeez, I'm not going to get in trouble, Jimmy. Stop it.
Monica, how you doing? Man, I miss you guys, too. I cannot believe when we think about how many times, how many dinners. You live on the other side. You live in another country on the other side of the country from us. But we still manage to see each other all year long and dinners and hanging out. And we haven't done that for 2 years. That is crazy to me. I mean, it's just crazy. And I want to get back to the posture. So
yes.
So I took the book. I had all of my Egyptian tools, and went through that. And I did for a pretty good length of time. But what you're saying is this time around, Jimmy, the book is going to affect you differently. And those first 300 pages are going to explain everything that you knew was missing. Right? That's where we're.
See, I have an obsession, and it's a weird obsession, is I have to know where things come from. I need to know the root or the source. Mm-hmm. So, if someone is saying, let's say there's something in a new religion, and I say, well, that came out just a couple hundred years ago. Where did that idea come from? Who was the first people to talk about it, or where was it? And I kind of, like an investigator, try to go right to the earliest recorded history of it to try to figure out why we do these things. So this is what the book is really about, is trying to get to the root.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Oh, well, okay. So, for example, let's say in the Bible, they talk about how, since it's Christmas, right, they're talking about frankincense and myrrh and gold. And, why was that a gift? Well, that was a question. Why was that given? What is the significance of that? And then once I trace that back down, it goes right back to the earliest religion and the earliest ideas of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And once I've traced down that history, now I have a complete story of, why that was important in that gift giving at that time. And we can get into a lot of details of that afterwards. But it's, like I said, that is probably 10 pages just by itself.
So we're going to come back to Quitmas later on in the show. Yeah. But what you're suggesting here is that we have the mention and the biblical narrative of these three items that have been repeated and repeated and repeated throughout history, but we don't understand the true meaning behind it. That's one thing. But what you are suggesting, that this would predate the biblical narrative by 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 years?
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's just putting these pieces together that you understand the religious and the spiritual significance of why these things are written about today, why they're discussed. And over time, the names may change, the locations, the cultures may change. But when you strip all that stuff down, the universal principles behind it are still identical to what they were 4,000 or 5,000 years ago.
You know, what's interesting is certainly through pop culture and the way that my brain works, and I'm not saying this in a funny, cavalier way. We have, the whole frankincense and myrrh setup that happens in Charlie Brown Christmas. And the reason why I bring that up is when you're a kid, you're 3, 4, 5 years old, and you're watching Charlie Brown Christmas, that's your introduction, right? You get that part of it, and then you grow up and you see something like Life of Brian, right? Monty Python, and you've got a whole nother frankincense and myrrh relationship suddenly. And it's pop culture that tends to teach us these things when we don't do the deep dive and we don't understand what the real meaning is, right?
Yeah, and I think one of our most popular shows was Quitmas, Merry Quitmas.
People still talk about it to this day, man. I'm so proud of that show.
Oh my God, I still laugh thinking about it because I thought I was going to get in trouble real bad doing that show. Because what it did was it opened up the conversation to taking the story of Jesus being born in the manger and opening that story up to say, what is the hidden meaning behind all the symbology? What's the hidden meaning behind everything that took place in that scene? And once you start breaking it down, it opens up this whole other narrative, this whole other story that is, I would say, as ancient as humans itself. So it's a story that is at least 5,000, 6,000 years old, at least.
The manger, all of us have a picture of it in our heads, and we've grown up with this. But one of my neighbors in the front yard, full manger, full on, man. He got and I saw it getting assembled, and I was thinking to myself, is he putting a garden shed in the front yard? That's kind of weird. Why don't you put that in the backyard? Okay. Well, anyway, then I saw the lights and everything. And the other night, I was taking a walk and walked by it and checked it out. And I could tell that there was a lot of emotion and meaning for this family to put this in the front yard, and the attention to detail. And I just stopped and looked. They've probably been doing this for years, collecting and build and designing and thinking. But that manger scene, right? It's incredible to me, and how we have been introduced this symbology, because it is heavy symbology, for our entire lives. Now, I'm speaking for my generation. I'm 58. How old are you, Jason?
I'm going to be 40 very soon.
Oh, man. Going to be 40. Yeah. Okay. But the same thing for you. The same symbology has been there for your entire life, right?
Yeah. And it's very strange because when I first started to learn this information and really pick it apart, it's like people say, like, why are you doing this? Like, you're offending me and you're offending, my beliefs. And the crazy thing about this is I'm more spiritual and religious now than ever because I know these roots and I see how special and spiritual and significant these stories actually are and what they do for us. And it's going to pass this knowledge down just like it has for thousands of years. That's the important thing, is the stories are the vehicle in which this secret, hidden spiritual information is encoded, so that future generations will tell the same story, and those that understand the symbolism will understand the deeper meaning. So I'm not disproving or discounting anything. In fact, I'm enhancing it. I want to know more. I want to know every aspect of that spiritual journey that we're all taking together, which is encoded in a lot of these stories.
Now, how does that change you? So you're going to be 40. Okay, so yeah, you're turning the page on that symbolism, right? 40. Right? Okay.
Do you know? You just brought up a good point. Do you know that the number 40 is the most used number in both the Old and New Testament?
Is it really?
It is.
Why?
And just off the top of my head, I think it's 164 times it's been used in Scripture.
Is that right?
It is. 40 days and 40 nights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
40 years in the desert. Moses fasts for 40 days and 40 nights on the Mount Sinai to speak to God. Jesus fasts 40 nights and 40 days in the desert.
Right.
You could see this is just, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just off the top of my head.
John's famous 40th birthday party at the saloon 40, in Jerusalem. You remember that one, right?
Yeah. And it took 40 days for Jesus to ascend after he was resurrected.
40 or 4? I thought it was 4.
40 days after the third day after he resurrected, he ascends.
And what about the Noah's Ark? Wasn't that like 40 cubits?
Yep, 40 years.
40 years and 40 cubits, right? By 20 cubits, something like that?
It was something like that. Some things are right in my head, some things aren't. But the point is, number 40 in biblical terms means to be tested. All right, it's a test. So it's like walking through the desert or fasting for 40 days. It's a test before God. And turning 40, I'm looking back at my life and going, that was one long test. Did I pass?
Oh man, and you're going to make it to 80, so you've got another 40 to go. Okay, so let's stay right here though. How has it changed you? Right, because I just brought up 40 for a reason. 10 years ago, you're a different person. And you're acquiring this knowledge. You're filling in the blanks. You're getting the lines in between the lines, and you're putting down pages. And how has it changed you as this has started to come together?
I feel like I've become a more open person, compassionate, patient is a good word. And to understand what people are going through. I am heavily connected to the stories of the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And, the most famous scene, which is the weighing of the heart against truth. And the whole story is when you pass away, you go and you are judged in front of Osiris. But people look at that as like, being judged by God. You are the soul of Osiris. So you are being judged by yourself. You're judging yourself. And the heart tells no lies. It has all your memories and emotions, and it knows you better than you. So if you carry the burdens of the world, if you carry a heavy heart, it won't be in alignment with truth, and you don't go through the stages of the afterlife. You come back to earth to learn again of what truth is. So I'm just learning to live with a light heart and, don't judge people and take everything one step at a time. Just have a very, very simple life. But also, I've been hurt a lot, so I am also very guarded. Which most people have to be.
Yeah, you have to go through that. The depiction of it's not judgment, but some would consider it judgment, right? But you have the scales there, and you're at the meeting. You're either going into the next world or you are not, and your heart is placed on a scale. And the way that it's depicted there is, in some ways, it's very frightening because it is final. You have that, but what always fascinated me was the knowledge of this for the Egyptians and where this knowledge came from. Because this is a long time ago. This is not Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Roland Emmerich. They didn't have that to, you know what I mean? They didn't have a basis of imagination to put all of this on. This was their world. This was their life. It was very direct. Where did this knowledge come from, 5,000 years ago?
That is the biggest mystery there is. And it's not a simple story. I mean, in that scene alone, there's 42 assessing gods.
Yes.
And each one of those gods has an entire backstory. You got 42 backstories of the gods. You have your organs, which is Horus's children, which represent the northeast, southwest, sitting on the lotus flower, which is the symbol of creation. All the souls of the gods manifest through the lotus flower. So there's so much symbolism and so much stories in that one picture that I could probably write a book just on that picture alone, and it would be huge, as in a lot of details. And this is what a lot of people miss, is they look at this story, but they don't see the complexity, and they don't see how evolved spiritually they were to actually know or work out this metaphysical world of what does happen to us when we die. And why was it so important for us as we live to understand that process of death? And I think just that philosophy is so ancient that I don't know how they accessed that high of a knowledge back then.
Yeah,
that's the truest answer. I do not know.
It's fascinating. This is Fade to Black tonight, the return of Jason Quitt. We're going to pick up, when we come back, we're still at the scales. Oh, no, we're right there. I've always imagined the image I have is my heart knocking the scale out of Osiris's hands. It'd be too heavy. Just stretch it out. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More Jason after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Just posted up right there on Twitter a Quitmas present. I couldn't resist, everybody. I couldn't resist. Jason's releasing the all-new book, Egyptian Postures of Power, on December 25th. I've got it up there on Twitter. Hit Jason up. Follow him on Twitter, by the way. It's Jason_Quitt. That's Quit with 2 T's. And, man, I haven't said that in a long time. Jason, I just said Quit with 2 T's.
There you go.
I just said Quit with 2 T's. Gosh. Okay. Getting back to one of the things that I really enjoy, Jason, about conversations like this, spirituality, religion, consciousness, Egyptian history, biblical stuff, it brings in all of the other experts. They all weigh in. And let's go back to the moment where I'm up in front of Osiris and who's the god of the underworld?
Well, it is Osiris,
and
I mean you have Anubis who leads
Anubis,
the deceased.
So who's holding the scales? Is it Osiris or Anubis?
It would actually be Thoth, who would be recording the deeds of your life.
Yeah, but in the papyrus, in that famous scroll, who's holding the scales there?
Oh, it could be Anubis, but
so.
Next to him would be Amit, which would be the crocodile-headed demon that has a hippopotamus body and a lion body as well.
Yeah, freakish looking. Now, that entire scene, Anubis has always freaked me out. There is a certain element there that doesn't feel like a nice guy, but that is the imagery. Okay, it's the imagery, but it's Anubis that's holding the scales, right? And what is so your heart is placed there, and it's weighed against what?
It's weighed against something called ma'at, which is a symbol of a feather, which symbolizes truth.
So your heart needs to be as light as a feather.
Absolutely, and that's where that line comes from.
Right.
You know, we use these lines in our modern language. They don't know that that's where that comes from.
How tense of a moment is that? Right. I mean, really,
I would say it's a very, very intense moment. And this is why Egyptians spent their whole life planning their death. They wanted to pass judgment and go on to heaven or, the place of the reeds. So it's like, this is a very, very important moment. And like I said, because in our mind, we have this thing about sin and this thing about damnation. Like if we don't pass a certain level of consciousness, we're going to be sent to hell or something really bad will happen to us. And the Egyptians didn't see it that way. It was almost like you had to pass certain tests to get through these different gates in the underworld. And the first test is the weighing of the heart. So if you pass that first test, I think you're pretty good.
But, okay, so I'm standing there and I'm watching the scale, right? And I don't pass the test. What happens?
Anubis picks your heart up and feeds it to the crocodile demon sitting at his feet. And you may ask yourself, well, that seems pretty awful to me, right? But what it does is it was a symbolic death of the heaviness that you carried in life, so that when you're reborn again, you don't have to carry that burden from the last life, and you can learn how to live through truth and be born again. Because think of it as like being polluted. They don't want to pollute an innocent soul being born again. So there's all these reasons. And, when I started to get into this at first, it is scary. They talk about different demons and the things that will, test you in these worlds. But it's just through knowledge and having a clear heart and mind that purifies you to go past these guards. And in each gate, you'll have a demon, what they call a demon, standing at the gate holding knives, really sharp obsidian knives. And you're looking at this as, okay, this is terrifying, but what they're actually doing is they're protecting the gate. They don't want any soul or any energy that is not allowed passing through these higher levels of, let's say, heaven to get through. So what they're doing is they're protecting and standing guard to make sure only the purest souls get through. So they weren't something to be fearful of. They were there for your benefit, to make sure that everything is in order for you to pass these gates of judgment.
Okay, so Anubis tosses my heart to the alligator demon, and he eats it. What do I don't pass through? So where do I go from there?
You wake up again in the world of the living, It's a very similar story to reincarnation.
Right.
And if your heart is light as a feather and you do pass, you were given a choice. And the choice was to be one with the gods, stay in heaven, or from your own free will, you can choose to be reincarnated back into life to represent the gods. And usually what that meant is you would be incarnated in, let's say, as in a kingly family, so that one day you would be brought up to be the pharaoh, or in a highly influential family or a priestly family. So that's what that meant. So many people said, okay, you know what? I'm going to come back down to earth to represent a part of God. And that's the whole thing about the gods of the ancient Egyptian world, which I think right now they've counted about 1,500 of them. So there's 1,500 gods. And these gods could work through you. You are part of all of those gods. And this was the secret of the Egyptian religion, was that the gods were not separate from you. They were almost like archetypes or forces of nature that at different points of your life, they could have influence over you. They could help you. They can hurt you. They can guide you. They could, they have all these different roles. So, many people think that, many gods. They worship many gods. But the truth of the matter is they all saw it was just one creation. And it was from this one creation that it was divided into all these universal forces and laws. And they named and they tried to categorize all the natural forces of the world, from the living to the dead, and they gave it an identity. Usually they found this out from viewing animals or insects or the natural forces like water or air. They would say, okay, this represents a natural force, and therefore we could describe it, give it a form, just like the scarab beetle. You have the god Kefri, which is a human body, and his head is a scarab beetle. What does that mean? That would be pretty scary, I would think. But the scarab beetle was an extremely important symbol, because when the sun rose in the morning sun, which is very important in Egypt, the beetle emerges from the sand, almost like it was brought to life by the sun rising. And as the sun passed over the sky, the scarab beetle will roll balls of dung across the earth, just imitating the so above, so below. And at nighttime, when the sun sets, the scarab beetle goes back into the sand, back into the underworld, and dies. So they saw this as a characteristic of resurrection, of rebirth. And they just took the scarab beetle and made it a force, a god of nature, to explain what was happening in the world.
With all of the other invasions that Egypt went through, how much of these traditions made it through?
Not many, but a lot of things were adopted. And this is very, very interesting. Amun-Ra, which is the Most High God, he represents Ra in the form of, highest vitality, which is the noonday sun, the sun when it's at the highest point in the sky. And Amun-Ra was pictured with a ram's head, with ram horns, right? Because that was a very strong animal. It was also the age of Aries, which, represents the sun in the sign of the ram. And the horns of the ram started to go into the Greek culture when they were taken over. So Jupiter, Apollo, even Alexander the Great were depicted with ram horns because they wanted to show that as a sun god, they had the same qualities as the Most High God, which was Amen-Ra, which was at the highest level of that time. And people go to Rome and they'll go to the fountains and they'll see like a statue of Zeus or a statue of Moses, which is weird. And they have horns on the statues, and everybody's like, oh my God, this is, pagan, demonic, things like this. But no, it comes from the ancient Egyptian religion that linked the ram to the age of Aries and the ram's horn to mean kingship, divinity, and the solar gods. So like I said, it's like we can trace all of this right back to ancient Egyptian mysticism.
Would that go all the way to the Vikings? And the reason why I bring that up, I mean, with Hermeticism, Alexandria in general, and all of the scholars of the world that were getting together, all of that went across the Mediterranean. And of course it went to Greece, and of course it went to Rome and other countries as well. But it did go through Europe. Did it get all the way up to the northern countries as well? Scandinavia, Finland, Norway?
I think it even came over to North America, which is quite controversial.
Right.
Because I see the same stories and the same imagery here from Native Americans. That is ancient Egyptian story and origin, or maybe it's Native American and they came here. I don't know. But the stories are very similar. And it's interesting because I remember I was describing an Egyptian god to a friend of mine, and he said, oh, that reminds me of this god. And he sent me a Norse god. And I looked at the Norse god, and he's holding a snake in one hand, and he's holding a knot in the other hand, and he has the horns on his head and all this symbology. I'm like, oh my God, that's
Egyptian,
describing the same thing.
Right.
So it's like here's the interesting thing. It's the same thing with the Native Americans, is that their totems changed. The animal totems changed depending on their location. So if the animals are, if your religion is in the desert, the animals that you're going to put in your religion are desert animals. But now if you move up north into the forests, you're going to keep the same religion, but you're going to replace the animals from desert animals to the animals of the woodland forest. So the ideas and the stories remain the same, but the characters, their names, their locations change over time.
Do you think that there's a possibility here that, sure, we can see a progenitor for all of this going back to ancient Egypt? We don't have a lot to follow in ancient history throughout the world, and we can always go to Egypt or Mesopotamia and look at the writings and see what was going on there, because culturally they got things started there from what we know first. Laws, streets, music, writing, all math, right? All of these, there were so many firsts that came from that general area. But like you say, these same things are found throughout the world. Now, communication was different back then. So either somebody was communicating and traveling, and we had transoceanic cultures that we didn't know about, or they all had the same religion because they were going through the same experiences, and they didn't have a connection with each other. They were just going through the same things. Is that a possibility?
It absolutely is. But, when you're looking at ancient cultures, going back thousands of years on one side of the planet, let's say the Pleiades, the Pleiadian star cluster, they're known as the Seven Sisters. But then you come to North America with the Native Americans, And they also have the 7 maidens.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly my point.
How did they know this? There must have been some type of origin.
Right. Yes.
Where they all had the same thought. Like, for example, Serpent Mound.
Yes.
Where is that? It's in Ohio. Serpent Mound?
Yes.
Okay, it's this snake, and at the end of the snake is like this egg, and it's like swallowing this egg. You know?
Mm-hmm.
The same symbology is in ancient Egypt. You know, it's Apophis swallowing the egg. It's the demon snake swallowing the sun. So it's like you have these same exact stories and icons in Egypt that are found, you know, in all places, Serpent Mound, Ohio. So, you know, a lot of people, well, especially Plato, believed that there would be 9,360 BC was the destruction of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they believed, or the story that was told to Plato. And they said that Atlantis was a seafaring civilization who had an island just outside of the gates of Gibraltar. And they traveled the globe for a long time, before the Egyptians, before Sumeria. And that civilization was completely destroyed and lost. Maybe there's survivors, and I'm just putting it out there, there's no actual proof to this, but maybe survivors of a cataclysm spread to different parts of the earth, carrying the same ideas, same religion, same knowledge, and it just kind of bloomed from about 9,000 years ago into the religions and cultures we know today.
Yes, and I think that the possibility is this. They were already traveling. They had emissaries, right? They were already traveling the world, and Atlantis met its end, and they couldn't go back. So they stayed in those cultures around the world and shared their knowledge.
It's highly possible. In fact, I can't space on these guys' names, but they're from the University of Columbia, I believe. They found from samples taken from the basin in the Mediterranean that 7,500 years ago, 120,000 acres of land was completely flooded violently from the Mediterranean basin.
Yes,
Mediterranean Ocean.
I watched the documentary on that, and it is a pretty fascinating. I think that they're onto something. They also found in that same basin boats, old, right, like a shipwreck yard, and pieces of things that predated. There wasn't supposed to be anything like that at that time, and it was on the other side of the Straits of Gibraltar. It wasn't in the Mediterranean. It was on the Atlantic side.
Right. So we have archaeological evidence. We have dating evidence. And even Robert Schoch talking about the water damage on the Sphinx. You know, he actually said it would be between 7,000 and 10,000 years old. And that puts it right in the middle of what's been found with the 7,500 year mark with the flood.
What did we're going to head to a break here. I wanted to mention this earlier. You're talking about the Pleiades. Is the same Göbekli Tepe on one of the pillars there? I don't have the pillar number, but on one of the pillars, clearly you have the representation of the zodiac, or most of it, I should say. And those aren't arbitrary symbols there. It's the zodiac. Now, that's 7,000 years before Giza. It's 8,000 years before Dendera and the zodiac, that is on the ceiling in Dendera. which is one of the most oldest versions of the zodiac as represented today in modern times. But they were, just like in North America, looking to the skies and arbitrarily naming things. That's Scorpio. I just don't see it that way.
No, the oldest religion is star religion. And after the break, if you want, we can go down that road, because I think that is the most fascinating topic of all theology, is the secrets of astrology in the stories. And the Pleiades, the Taurus, the bull, Orion, the bear, they're all featured prominently in these cultures. And I have the answer why. Okay.
Well, we'll do that when we come back. Out here, and I can't wait for you to come and visit, but I'm in the Mojave Desert, and looking up at the Milky Way and the starry sky every night is just amazing to me. And I look up and there's Orion, and I just watch Orion. It's my friend, right? I watch it all night long, just go across the sky. And now I can look up and I know what I'm seeing today. And with the knowledge that I've acquired doing this show over the last, almost 10 years now with guests like yourself, I've learned an awful lot. But now I'm able to go out and look at this every night. I've got my telescope and it's fascinating to me. But that cinematic representation that I have out there, that was the big screen TV to ancient cultures. That's it. They went out and looked at that every night. That was their 70-inch.
And my hypothesis is that once they mapped the sky and learned about the seasons, it changed them from hunter-gatherers into farmers.
Now, I've got 20 seconds. I just want to know, what is in that guitar case against the wall?
Oh, you're not going to be happy about that one. That's a Taylor acoustic. Your face.
Oh, man. Our guest tonight, the one and only Jason Quitt. It is the return of Jason Quitt. If you weren't in a great mood already like myself, you're going to get greater. I'll be right back. More with Jason after this short break. Star religions are next. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
This is Jimmy Church, and I personally invite you to the 2022 Conscious Life Expo this February 4th through the 7th, live at the LAX Hilton in Los Angeles, California. This year, we have the most exciting speakers, including Linda Moulton Howe, Jacques Vallée, Whitley Strieber, Adam Apollo, Billy Carson, Daryl Anka and Bashar, William Henry, Caroline Corey, Susan Slaughter, Daniel Brinkley, Sarah Breskman-Cosme, George Norrie, Gail Thackeray, and many, many more. I will be hosting all weekend long, including the keynote Ancient Secrets panel on Friday night, 5 vendor and exhibit halls, 3 floors of speakers, panels, and celebration. This is the biggest event of the year, and early bird passes are available now. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for the schedule, speakers, and information. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com. This is Jimmy Church, and I invite you to attend the 20th Annual Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo live and in person this September 17th, 18th, and 19th at the LAX Airport Hilton. Connect with exhibitors, community, thought leaders, and friends as we begin to recreate the world. You can also watch the expo from the comfort of your own home. Live stream from the main stage in Los Angeles and from the main stage in London. Truly a global simulcast event broadcast around the world. Live stream and in-person expo tickets are available now. I'll be your host all weekend long from Los Angeles. And on Friday, it's my Ancient Secrets and Earth Mysteries themed segment with James Keenan, Caroline Corey, and William Henry. And on Saturday, Daniel Sheen and I sit down for a one-on-one interview live. We have an amazing lineup of 25 speakers, including Bashar, Gail Thackeray, Kimberly Meredith, Whitley Strieber, Stephen Bassett, Daniel Brinkley, and Lisa Garr. Please visit ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and info. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com and use that promo code Jimmy for a special discount. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Man. I just feel like I'm hanging out with an old friend. Well, I am. Jason Quitt is back with us. Jason, life is a journey, isn't it? Oh, my man. You need 4 of those. You need 4 of those. And I can't wait. Yes, I see a quitspiracy in our future. Everybody's been asking about that, and we'll get back to it. Jason's back. It's all good. Life is a journey, isn't it? I mean, when you start to get a little cocky, and you do, I do, everybody does, you know, and just when you say to yourself, "I got this all figured out," you find out quickly that you don't. Right?
I call it the cosmic slap in the face.
As soon as you you know that you get that swagger, right? You get that little cocky swagger, something happens, man, and puts you back in check. It's you know what though? It makes it interesting. It does.
Well,
it makes you smarter.
Yeah, and we've all been through things, and we've all made some terrible mistakes in our lives, but that's how you learn. That's how you experience, and then you never do those things again.
Yeah, I'm so flawed. I am so flawed. I try to correct some little thing every single day, right? It's that's it. That's what we're here to do. I'm so flawed. The other day, this is how flawed I am. I'm going to make a confession right here. This is how flawed I am. I'm trying to watch my weight. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to, buy more fruit. I'm trying to drink more. I'm trying to, and it seems like I'm always in that struggle. On Saturday, I bought a pizza from my local pizzeria and ate the entire thing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And this is what and I knew it was the wrong thing. I knew everything that I am about. Always do the right thing. I put the pizza on the island, and I knew that there was 2 movies that I wanted to watch. Okay? All right? It's Saturday night. I'm going to watch movies. I looked at it, and I took 4, put it on the plate, 4 slices, went in, and ate those 4 slices and watched the movie. Got to the second movie, Jason. I went back and got the second half of the pizza and went back and watched the second movie. And I was still hungry. It's like, what? That's a flaw, man. That is just
it's not a flaw. Take it back, because what you're really looking for, Jimmy, is something to comfort you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
And we all go into those places.
Well, I was comforted, man. I had a warm blankie that night. I was comforted for sure. Okay, star religions.
Oh yes, we're back.
yeah. Let's focus. Oh, we can talk guitars. You want to talk guitars? Jason whipped it out. Jason did.
I'll tell you, it's a sad thing in my heart, because I have beautiful, beautiful guitars, beautiful equipment, and it's all pushed to the side.
No time.
And it, growing up, I'll put this out there. When I was a teenager, I had no money. I had nothing, so I would make music on the computer, right? I was on DOS, Impulse Tracker, making music, just with samples. And my childhood dream is to have a real guitar, have a real synthesizer, have a real recording studio. And I have all of that now, and I can't touch it.
Jason and I, this is going back a few years. And so Jason and I are doing, I think we were on a Skype call. And anyway, I was giving Jason tips on recording. You remember this, Jason, right? And he's showing me his preamps and the mics, and I'm giving him some secrets on how to record an acoustic guitar that, and we're going through all of that. It's not like we don't make an attempt to find the time. You did assemble all of the right stuff, right? And Jason and I are talking back and forth, and here we are 3 years later. We haven't touched anything. I've got guitars, Jason, that I haven't touched in 5 years. And that's criminal. That is just criminal to be like that, because there was a time when I remember 15 years ago, I had 12 guitars. I pawned them all. Right? I got some of them back, but you know what I mean? I was in that kind of position, And I thought to myself, I'll never do that again. Well, I don't have to today, but now I've got way too many guitars, and I think that is part of me when I let all of that part of my life go, that I didn't want that to happen again. I'm never going to run out of guitars. I'm not going to do it.
I want to tell a quick story.
Sure.
If I could. Because like I said, I always wanted a guitar, and my father would never allow it, right? And we went into a music store, and there was a mahogany starburst body Fender Stratocaster. And they were having an auction. They do this auction every year. And I think I was like 10, 11 years old. And the auction was like $5 for a ticket or $10 for a ticket. My father was like, oh, you know what? Okay, we'll write you a ticket, just because I kept asking him for a guitar. They called me the next month. I won that guitar.
Oh, shut up.
That was my first guitar. And it's like I said, it was like I couldn't have it. My father hated it. And the universe said, nope, we're giving Jay that guitar. That's how blessed I was.
Well, and the sacrifices that we make, and me having to, get rid of the guitar collection so my daughters could be fed, right? Some things take precedence, and we all go through that. Life is a journey, man. Life is an absolute journey, and we are blessed to be here today. And again, I'll say it again, as friends. So let's get to star religions. And I'm very adamant when I say that ancient cultures, their surround sound home entertainment system was the night sky. That there isn't another way to. I can't imagine no light pollution, And when they went outside, bam, that was right there. So tell us about the star religions and their origins.
There is a famous painting in a cave in France. And this painting was done by, call them Neolithic shamans. And they painted the bull. They painted the dots of Pleiades behind the bull's horns. And they painted the belt of Orion in this cave. And they've roughly dated it to between 32,000 years ago to 17,000 years ago. So that is older. That is the oldest depiction I think we have preserved that our ancient people knew the sky. And they drew Taurus as a horned bull. So even 17,000+ years ago, right, they already knew Taurus was a bull. They had that down. And Pleiades and Taurus are a very important constellation in our sky. And it's celebrated throughout all our religions, all our ancient history. The bull is extremely sacred. The seven sisters are extremely sacred. And the reason being is that the stars in the constellation, they rise and fall exactly on the times of the equinoxes and the solstices. And it tells the ancient people when to plant, when to seed the land, when it's fertile. So when the star appears in the sky in the spring season, they have 40 days to plant the seeds. In ancient Egyptian religion, Taurus the bull in the spring equinox would rise with Pleiades in the same position as the sun. So the sun's rays would make Taurus invisible, will make the Pleiades invisible to the visible eye. And they said, okay, the bull sacrifices itself to allow fertility of the land. So they know when the bull and Pleiades disappear from the sky behind the sun, you have 40 days and 40 nights to plant your seeds. If you plant it 42 days after, 50 days after, you'll miss the harvest. There's a window of time. And then in the autumn equinox, this is the northern hemisphere, by the way, the autumn equinox, the Taurus and the Pleiades rise in the night. And when it rises, then you have 40 days and 40 nights to harvest what you have planted. So these were the most important windows of time for ancient people. And this is why the Pleiades and the bull were so important to ancient people, was because if they missed those windows, they would not survive the next year. Because they went from hunter-gatherers into farming communities, and this is how they built cultures. This is how they built their temples and settled and grew, is because they used the knowledge of the stars to sustain their life.
Do you do the same thing that I do now when you go out and you look at Orion and you see Taurus? You can't help but see a bow and arrow, a belt, and the horns of Taurus, right? I mean, that's what I see now.
It's all I see.
Yeah.
The great hunter, pointing its gaze at the seven sisters in Greek mythology that, he wanted to marry one of those sisters. So he's, chasing them. And Sirius, that star Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, comes above the horizon on Christmas. The Star of Bethlehem is Sirius, who is Osiris. And it showed the place in the night sky where the sun would rise on December 25th. So it's like all these stars have very powerful significance. And now that I know this, and I go out in the sky, I'm always looking up and I go, oh, there it is.
I do the same thing, and I love it. I don't know if it's an appreciation that comes from age or now that I know what I'm looking at. I am fascinated with it. I'm absolutely fascinated. I am constantly, I've got a couple of books, and I've got my star programs, on my iPad and my cell phone, and I'm able to just look up and go, okay, now I'm getting to the point where I know exactly what it is that I'm looking at. But here's the deal. Two things come into play for me on the winter solstice and, of course, Christmas. All cultures of the world were seeing the exact same thing. So therefore, December 25th, if you do the deep dive, is going to be somewhere in every culture on the planet, right? Everybody's got a December 25th story in mythology.
Oh, yes. And this was about 10, 20 years ago. There was very popular books that came out called The Sons of God. And basically, like books like that were discussing ancient cultures from around the world, and their deities, their gods, solar gods, all had the same birthday of December 25th. And, a lot of people have said, this is just false information, and, it's atheists trying to screw up what we got going,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's like, I had that idea too. I'm like, this can't be true. Show me the proof 1,000, 2,000 years before the biblical story that shows me a God that was born or celebrated as being born on December 25th. Krishna's one.
I mean, we can keep going. I mean, we can keep.
There's 40 popular ones that were. But
yes.
I actually found a source of ancient writings that literally talk about the festival of the winter solstice as Isis giving birth to Horus, and Horus being the sun god, the child being born on December 25th.
And resurrected.
Thousands of years before.
Yeah, right. And now, when I started to do the deep dive into this, and for me it was about 20 years ago, when I started to do the deep dive in this, it kind of messed me up. No, I'm saying kind of. It really messed me up for about a year. I just felt like somebody wasn't. It's not so much telling the truth, but not being forth with the origin stories, and that there are other similarities out there with other cultures around the world, and they may predate what we've been telling you, but there's a reason for that. No, they don't go there. They get offended. And when I went through all of those books, by the way, and I started to read, and the movie Zeitgeist is a great example of this too as well. The critics that came out and try to shoot all of that down, when you go and you do your own research on your own, and you find out that the correlations are true, and it's not an accident, and I don't think it's even wrong or offensive. It's just history, Jason.
That's right.
Right, and when we look at when the sun is changing directions, right, and it's rising and setting in one direction, and then it stops and it starts heading back in the other direction, and that is going through two different cultures around the world, and the significance of that for the yearly cycle. What's wrong with that? Right? One religion doesn't own it, right? Everybody was seeing the same thing in the sky.
I think it's the thing that could actually join us together, because if we break down everything, it's the same message. And I'm not discounting any religion. I'm just not discounting any God. In fact, like I said before, I'm more religious and spiritual now, knowing what I know, because it is sacred to know the cycles, because you are a part of that cycle. And we live in a modern world now where we're completely separated from nature, so we really don't care anymore about this stuff. But if you were living a couple thousand years ago, if you didn't know this information, you would not survive.
Now, let's go back to Egypt for a second. It's the same subject, but didn't Akhenaten have the same challenges for him with the established religions in Egypt at that time? And suddenly he wants to come in and go from, like you said earlier, from a poly to a mono situation. That those were the same challenges that he had. He had to tell the Egyptian people that from this day forward, we're going to focus on Ra. We're going to go into another direction.
Right, and that didn't go over too well. In fact, many scholars say there's a lot of similarities between the story of Akhenaten and the biblical story of Exodus with Moses, how it kind of fits around the same time period. And it was a breaking away from the poly gods to monotheistic religion, which turned into Judaism. And the interesting thing about this is it has to do with the ages of time. So, like right now, we're in the age of Pisces, right? The fish.
Yes.
So who's the icon? Who's the solar deity of the fish?
Jesus.
Well, right. We owe the Icarus.
No, Jesus. I'm going Jesus.
Yes, yes.
I'm going Jesus.
The Christian religion, the secret symbol is the fish.
Right.
Now, if you go back to Moses was in the age of Aries, which is the ram. So the ram horn was very sacred. They used the shofar in their rituals. And you remember the story of Moses on the mountain. He comes down from the mountain after 40 days and 40 nights, and he sees his followers, the children of Israel. They built a golden calf. And he's so angry, he breaks the commandments, he breaks the tablets, and he commands that the golden calf be destroyed, pulverized, thrown into the waters, and that the children of Israel have to drink the gold in the water. That was their punishment. But that was the symbolic death of the age of Taurus, which was before. So it's like it goes from the age of Taurus, before Moses was the age of Taurus, then it goes into Moses, which is the age of Ram, and then it goes into Jesus, which is the age of the fish. And in between 100 and 200 years from now, this planet is going to go through a tremendous change because we're going to be in the age of the water bearer, Aquarius. And who knows? And they say, the water bearer is the symbol of enlightenment, the symbol of knowledge. So we might be in for a crazy, who knows, in 100 to 200 years.
And going back to Akhenaten and polytheism and monotheism, and do you think, we'll continue this after the break, I only have about a minute, that the opposition to this wasn't from the citizens of Egypt, but it was the priests that were monetarily making money, right? And suddenly they were going to be aced out, and their chest that was filled, and they were fed all year long, they were paid all year long, and all of that was taken away. That was the opposition to Akhenaten, not necessarily the change of religion, but it was the priest going broke.
Well, it's extremely complicated because the temples of the other gods, this is going to get really spiritual here, but they literally housed the Ka body. They literally housed the spirit of those gods in those temples. And you have to continually give those gods offerings to maintain their Ka spirit in the temple. So this is like ancient magic stuff.
Right. Well, but that was the game that the priests were playing.
Well, I'll say that it got more popular in that later period, but these traditions are thousands of years earlier. So
no,
to
based
say
on,
no,
yeah, okay. You're right. It's more complicated than that. And we'll discuss this more after the break. I love this subject. It is more complicated than that. But the 2,000 years of the establishment of things, what went on 1,000 years before that and what was going down at the time of Akhenaten was two different things. Where the priests were now, this was a monetary, this was a job. And yes, the offerings were made, but the priests were being fed off of that and getting rich off of that.
The biggest problem with all of that is the temples became as a pay-as-you-go.
Yes.
As in, if you want to go to the afterlife, you better pay us, and then we'll make sure you get to the afterlife, which is a completely just manipulation of ancient knowledge.
Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. Tonight is the return of Jason Quitt. Are you smarter? I am. More with Jason after this short break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, the X.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? UNX Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit unitedgoldgroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. It's the return of Jason Quitt, and right before the break, we were talking about how Akhenaten got ran out of town. It was, I think he had the best of intentions. I really do. I think he had the best of intentions, and you affect the income and the setup that the priest had going on. They had a game going on, man. And they established it, and he was a threat, man. He was a threat. I just posted up in the chat room. He was a threat to their wallets.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to look at it.
This was around the time where they mummified everything. So if you had a pet or a sacred animal or an offering, you would bring it to these temples, and you'd give them money, and they would mummify it for you. And it all became this, keep giving. And it's very similar story, into the Bible with Jesus, how, he wanted to throw the money out of the synagogues. There's this weird thing with religion, and it's an age-old story that goes back thousands of years, is, once money becomes the goal of the priests in the temple, suddenly the message is not important anymore. It's just how much you can get through that door. It becomes a business. And I think that it was the time where they say, you know what, you're done. We need to take a step back into the old ways or a new direction to go back to that spiritual nature of things.
Yeah, there was there's an old joke. It goes back a long ways, but I always laughed at this because I saw what was going on from a very young age. But the donation, basket is going around the church, and the priest, the pastor, whoever, says, "Don't give change to the baby Jesus. You don't want to wake him up." Right? Don't give change to the baby Jesus. And be silent. Only give the money that folds. Right?
I always like the grandpa joke.
What's that?
Which is, the basket comes to your grandfather, and your grandfather just takes the money and puts it in his pocket. And you're like, "Granddad, what are you doing?" He's like, "I've been praying for money, and this basket just arrived."
Yeah, exactly. Man, and we're doing this show in the month of December. Oh man, but it's really true. And there's another. I brought this up earlier. Now, talking about Akhenaten. The traditions of Egypt, so when you get to the reign of Cleopatra, the story is, and I it's kind of dogma now. It's been repeated so many times, but Cleopatra wanted to get back to the established religion and Egyptian traditions, including speaking the language. Up to that point, they were speaking Greek in Egypt, right? And so she did read and write Egyptian. She spoke the language and was trying to get back to and learn about the 3,000 years of Egyptian history that predated her. That's what was going on when she committed suicide, right?
Again, it's hard to go back to the old ways. And in the Greek culture, thankfully, a lot of the traditions moved to the Greeks. They adopted a lot of things, and then it was adopted by the Romans after the Romans took it. So, when was the Council of Nicaea? Was that in
330?
300 and something.
Yeah, 330
BC.
Yeah, 330, 333.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like 326 or something BC, or
AD.
AD actually.
Yes.
And but basically, they wanted to unite all the religions and beliefs under one nation, which was the Roman nation. And to do this, they took the Bible and they revised a version that would make all the temples happy. So it was a very revised version of it. And we see with the Nag Hammadi library of all the books and all the things that were taken out of the original scriptures. And when you read it, you realize why they took them out in the first place. Because a lot of the scriptures, the original scriptures, they countered each other. They gave another alternative history to where the information came from. And they, how do they say this? It's a lot of the people that we look down upon and say, okay, that person was, not a good person in the Bible. Well, they had their own scripture, and it was a whole other story of why they had to do what they did. So we have now, through archaeology, a way of going back through time to see what was there before and what came out afterwards. So we're living in an amazing time, because we're regaining that knowledge. A lot of people, for example, how did this knowledge stay with our civilization? I'm talking about like the hidden knowledge, the mysteries, the stuff we're talking about. It was hidden in plain sight. It was hidden in secret orders, and it was hidden in the biblical texts and through different games. For example, the tarot deck. Everybody knows the tarot deck is like a deck of cards, tell your fortune and future. But do people realize that the tarot deck was invented when the Greeks took over the land of Israel? And they took away the right to study Torah from the Jewish people. You were persecuted if you studied the Torah. So what they did was they created a card game called the Tarot and put the biblical teachings in those cards so that it looked like they were just playing a game of cards. So the information, this ancient information of these mysteries, have been secretly passed down to us in this day through secret orders, but through archaeology, we can actually go back in time and read the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We could read these thousands and thousands-year-old scriptures and realize what has been adopted, what has been hidden, and what has been demonized throughout our history. So we're living in an incredible time where we could actually sort those things out.
The time of Cleopatra, we were just talking about Nicaea. Yes. And this is what I find interesting. Nicaea, 325, AD. Nobody at the Council of Nicaea was alive during the time of Jesus. So what were they basing everything on, right? Well, a lot of it is word of mouth, right? Mythology that has been handing down, the oral traditions. And then you have the written stuff. But that was only 325 years. And Cleopatra at, let's just call it year zero, right? It's 33 BC, but let's just go with year zero for easy math here. Cleopatra had to struggle with an Egyptian history that was 3,000 years old. The United States is barely 200 years old, right? It's 200 and whatever, right? Years old, 220 years old. Think about that for a second. 3,000 years. Cleopatra is a closer relative to you and I than she was with Mene, the first king of Egypt, right? Which was 3,000 years before that. And that's what she had to deal with, was trying to understand 3,000 years of history where there wasn't the obvious things, right? There wasn't books and libraries and a computer system and you could just Google this information. No. And they had to go back. Each dynasty had historians trying to lock down the history of the previous dynasties, and it's all over Egypt. Well, when you go to the Council of Nicaea, they had to struggle with the same situation there. And if you think about it, the Council of Nicaea was 1,600 years ago. And you consider the age of Egypt, which was 3,000 years. Today, we have the ability, like you said, Jason, we have a lot of advantages here to go back and understand this. They didn't know a lot about their history while they were living in the middle of it.
Yeah. And, you're talking about it now, and all I could think of is that is an impossible task. It's a very difficult task, especially because a lot of these libraries, a lot of this information has been destroyed from warring cultures. They'll come in and destroy the information and rewrite a new history. So then you have to figure out, okay, what is the real history and what is the history written as propaganda?
Well, do we have to put more weight onto Herodotus and Plato, who were there trying to preserve this history? They were in the middle of the history, and they're trying to collect this information. We don't have so many scholars today want to say, oh, Herodotus was fantasy. We can't put too much into that. Plato was just a science fiction writer, and half of that stuff was made up. I'm not so sure if we need to go down that road. We don't have too many other sources, do we?
No, but you can take what they wrote, and now you could read the pyramid texts.
Yes.
You could read about the rituals. And then you can say, oh, okay, he talked about this festival and what they did, and now reading the hieroglyphs on the wall, we understand that this is what he was talking about. So it wasn't just fantasy. It was taking the myths and legends and the rituals of the past, because history is difficult. Okay, you can't really write down a complete history over thousands of years, but you can write a mythology, a story with those characters to explain what they went through. So the story will pass through time much easier as a oral history of what actually happened, which I think is what's actually happened.
Well, if we take, I think that there is, but my opinion doesn't matter here. Plato's history of Egypt correlates very well with the Edfu text, which goes back about 10,000 years. And you mentioned Plato's dating of Atlantis, right? Atlantis, yep. Which goes back to 9700 and something BC. I don't think that is coincidence.
I don't either.
And
go ahead. I think that there is an arrogance in archaeology and historians where they have a view of history, and anything that falls outside of that mainstream view of history, it's almost like it never happened and it's just a story, and don't even go down that road. It has to be like literally staring them in the face where they can't ignore it for them to say, okay, this is true. These old stories that we thought were fantasy are actually real. And I think the earliest Homo sapien skeleton that we have on record is about almost 300,000 years old. To think that over 300,000 years of human history, we didn't have a culture that had writing, that had religion, that had figured things out. And who knows, maybe there was a cataclysm. There was lots of cataclysms in this world. They could have been wiped off the face of the earth and we would never know. In fact, just 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, when the Romans conquered different lands, if they did not convert and come to Roman culture, they would literally destroy them. They would erase their history. So we don't even know a lot of these cultures that were wiped off the face of the map from the Romans, let alone, 100,000 years ago. There's evidence here in Ontario where I live, up near Manitoulin Island. Archaeologists there found tribes living there. They found artifacts dating back to like 120,000 years ago in North America and in Ontario here. And because that didn't fit the from Africa, from going over the glaciers to Canada, they just demonized the site and said, there's something wrong here. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, here in San Diego, this happened a couple of years ago. And you know what? Just like you're saying, though, just kind of lifted up the carpet, swept it right under, nothing to see here. They found mammoth bones with knife marks, right? It's like, wait, stop the bus. what are we really suggesting here? And I find that fascinating. I had Avi Loeb on the show yesterday. I don't know if you heard it, but I asked Avi a question last night. And I don't want this to get lost on the community and the rest of the world. I asked Avi, I said, would it surprise you if at some archaeological site, some dig site, that they unearthed 100 million year old piece of technology, right? Alien, whatever. And he said no. It would not surprise me. And that's in direct contrast to any conversation that goes on in academia. But Avi said no, I wouldn't be surprised. And then he said this. I want your reaction to this. He said, I think that we're going to find something on the moon. It's going to be right there. And then what happened yesterday? The Chinese revealed, the cube on the dark side of the moon. Now, and I didn't know that. I didn't know about that at the time of my interview with Avi. But that would have been a whole different conversation if he knew about it and I knew about it. But he said that, and then boom, this Chinese cube. What did you make of that Chinese cube? Do you think that is something that is going to be unnatural?
It really took me back to the Richard Hoagland days.
I know.
Remember the tower at the dark side of the moon?
Yeah. Hoagie right now. Told you. Yeah. I've been saying, all this time, you thought I was crazy. Right now he is certainly, he had a good night's sleep last night. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he was
I'm going to put this out to you and your audience, okay? What is a dream of mankind? A dream of mankind is to travel to stars and find new worlds.
Yep.
Okay, if for some reason
100%.
We're drawn to it, and it's like a natural impulse that we want to leave the planet. And if this is an impulse that we have today, who knows if 1 million years ago another culture on another planet had the same impulse and came looking for another planet and possibly were the descendants of those travelers.
What's wrong with that? I mean, what is wrong with that? I would say that, and you just brought up Homo sapien sapien, right? 200, 300,000 years old. And we just appeared here. That's it. That's what the archaeological record tells us right now. We just showed up. What is wrong with even thinking that and suggesting that? Because we don't know. Nobody knows. Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't know. Nobody knows. But that fits a lot of things. If we that answer, right, to suggest that another culture out there, some extraterrestrial civilization, traveled here, got shipwrecked, and here we are, right? That is easier for me to accept than Darwin. And you want me to tell you why? We just showed up at 300,000 years ago. We don't have the 10 million years of bones laid out showing the evolution of us, Homo sapien sapien. It doesn't exist. And until it does, the safest way out for me, the one that makes the most sense, we got dropped off. And I'm okay with that, Jason. I think history is going to bear it out. That as we look back and think about this, that is probably what happened.
Okay, if let's just say we're astronauts and we're in a spaceship and we crash on an alien planet. Our ship is completely destroyed. Our technology is destroyed. What do? We leave the technology behind, take what we know, and try to survive as best as possible in that new environment. So it's like, they have like bows and arrows and flints and, they're so like stone aged. But what if if I said to you, if you break your cell phone, I say, oh, no problem. Just build another cell phone. you're a smart guy. Just, you know.
It ain't going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Look.
You would go right back to stone.
Yes. If you took... Jason, by the way, it's the return of Jason Quitt. You're going to stay for overtime because we're going to discuss Quitmas next. You're not going to bed. Tell Monica you're with me tonight. Okay, but it's this. If you and I and 100 of the smartest engineers on the planet, 100 of the smartest engineers, software designers, industrial designers, and you and I and these 100 smartest people on the planet are on a desert island, and we got to build a computer, it ain't going to happen. Not for thousands of years. It's if we had to start from scratch, and we had nothing. We had the brains, but we had to start from scratch and try to figure out how to mine the minerals. Right? Build a factory, come up with electricity on an island to get to the point where we could build with all the knowledge that we have. It wouldn't happen. It simply wouldn't happen. And that goes right back to your point. I couldn't agree with you more. You wouldn't get a cell phone out of us for 2,000 years.
There's a quote, and I wish I remember who this
Steve
was
Jobs
from.
could be
philosopher.
Steve Jobs could be with us on that island, and it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. The quote is, everything that we've created in our technological world is out of the need of loss. As in, whatever we have today is something that we lost in the past.
Wow.
So that is the need to fulfill what we lost.
Wow, that's heavy.
You know, it's a good quote. I wish I remembered who it was from. I think it was Gurdjieff or Gurdjieff. Maybe, I don't know.
Gurdjieff,
the Sufi mystic.
Yeah. He's too difficult to read. I remember I got one of his books, and I'm serious, man. I got like 6 pages in. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. And then I read later that he wrote that way on purpose, right? That you had to reread, discuss, and get into the philosophy and everything to start to absorb it. But he wrote in a confusing way on purpose. But I figured it out in 6 pages.
I think it's been 20 years since I read that.
Did you try? So, you did? Did you finish it?
I had a book. I think I still have it. I did read it, but I don't remember the particulars about it.
You don't remember anything of it. And if you said you did, you'd be lying. And that's not what a friend does. Tonight is the return of Jason Quitt. When we come back, we're going to do it, everybody. We're going to do some Quitmas. Yeah. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. More with Jason in overtime when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
Listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church, and I personally invite you to the 2022 Conscious Life Expo this February 4th through the 7th, live at the LAX Hilton in Los Angeles, California. This year, we have the most exciting speakers, including Linda Moulton Howe, Jacques Vallée, Whitley Strieber, Adam Apollo, Billy Carson, Daryl Anka and Bashar, William Henry, Caroline Corey, Susan Slaughter, Daniel Brinkley, Sarah Breskman-Cosme, George Norrie, Gail Thackeray, and many, many more. I will be hosting all weekend long, including the keynote Ancient Secrets panel on Friday night, 5 vendor and exhibit halls, 3 floors of speakers, panels, and celebration. This is the biggest event of the year, and early bird passes are available now. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for the schedule, speakers, and information. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Tonight, the return of Jason Quitt, and we've got to complete the evening with going straight into overtime and get into the celebration of Quitmas. I just posted up, I said, I predict that the bunker will get struck by lightning in the next 25 minutes. That's my prediction. I don't know what the over-under is on that 25 minutes. It could be 24. It could be 26. But that's my prediction. Here we go. When we look at, and I checked this out earlier today, and I could have my dates wrong and things, but there is so much put into the origins of Christmas, what those dates are, the official birth date of Jesus. Now, I'm going to say this. Is Christmas dogma? December 25th. You know, it's been instilled in us for so long now that it has become truth. It's Christmas dogma. Let's just start there. I'm talking about the December 25th version of Christmas.
I would say in today's world it is.
Okay. Lightning strike odds just went up by about 100%. Okay, so... yeah.
I don't know how far to go, Jimmy. I'm scared.
Yeah, I know, right? Because check out this quote. This is a quote from Clement of Alexandria. He wrote in 200 AD. Okay? Are you ready?
Ready.
There are those who have determined not only the year of our Lord's birth, but also the day. And they say that it took place in the 28th year of Augustus and the 25th day of the Egyptian month, May 20th. Further, others say that he was born on the 24th or 25th of Pharmuthi, April 20th or 21st. Now, that was in 200 A.D., and then scholars took that. Again, I don't have a PhD in anything. No, I have a PhD. I'm a pretty heavy dude, so I have a PhD.
Wait. What's 9 months after?
That's right. Okay.
Like April, May.
That's right. Okay. So scholars started to go. No, it was the conception. The conception was in April, and he was not born in April. That was the conception. Is that their way of bending history a little bit so things could fall on December 25th and the winter solstice?
No, because the original story as well from Egypt was around the spring equinox, which is it's when the virgin becomes impregnated with the seed of spring. The fertility, and then the birth of the Virgin, which is the birth of the sun back over the Southern Cross over the horizon.
So you're just going full pagan.
Winter solstice.
So you're just going full pagan.
Oh God, did I just say? Yeah, God, yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. You just went full pagan.
Well, wait. Okay, so wait a second. I'm gonna fill in some blanks here.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Okay, we'll talk about conception, which is around that time of April, which you just said.
Yes.
That falls in line with the holiday of Passover, the spring equinox, the new moon. All right. Now, so Jesus said that he lived 33 years, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and he died on the night of Passover. So he's conceived on Passover, and he dies on the night of Passover. All right? 33 years later. Do you know that the cycle of the moon goes in line with the sun to the same position? The moon and the sun go into the same position once every 33 years.
You're going full pagan. You're going full pagan. You're going full pagan on me, man. You're going full pagan. But this is why you laugh.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the things that has to be considered is Rome. Man, I swear to God, man, Bunker's going to get blasted. But I'm just going to say this, that the citizens of the world were divided back then. And you have Christianity on one side, and you've got paganism on the other. And the leaders on both sides said, hey, we can battle this till nobody's left alive, or we can just meet in the middle somewhere and let's get these two things combined and explain to everybody why it makes sense. And that's a better way to go for the survival of the people of Earth than the other way, which is we're going to settle this by the tip of a sword. And, and I think that is pretty closer to reality on how we got established today, which explains everything that you just said. And then you are able to combine Easter, and we can get Christmas into the play and everything else, and just explain to everybody what's going on. And I'm going to hell, man.
Come on. Listen to me. Go back in time to Rome. Okay, go back to like 274 AD. Okay, 100 years before the Council of Nicaea. Okay, 100 years before Christianity was adopted into the Roman Empire as the main religion. On December 25th, 274 AD, the cult of Sol, the sun god Sol, became the official religion of the Roman Empire.
Man, it's hot in here. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. It's getting hot.
And 100 years, not even 100 years. Actually,
50,
almost 100 years exactly to the date. The Roman Empire.
No, 50 years.
Roman Emperor Constantine adopted Christianity as the new official religion.
That is correct. Probably because of his mom, too, by the way. Okay. Let's back up, Ed.
But I'm just saying, it's like, look at these dates. The official sun god religion was born December 25th. This is documented history. You can't change that.
Right.
And Sol was merged with the Greek god Apollo. And the Greek god Apollo was merged with Amun-Ra, the sun god. So it's like you have this line of succession going back a couple thousand years where one god was adopted into another and then another. And then finally we get into Christianity, where now Jesus is the main figure of the Roman Empire. Yeah, I think this is going great, Jimmy.
Yeah, this is, man, I'm nervous.
Why don't we keep going?
Well, okay, so then let's go to, let's continue the pagan side of things, and where it is explained and morphed into Christianity are the three kings. And so the three kings show up with gold, frankincense, and myrrh, right? And they're chasing the star. Right, they wind up at the manger. Man, I swear to God, man. Look, I'm just gonna when it's all said and done, and I'm at the gates of heaven. I'm just gonna go, dude. It was just entertainment. It was just a radio show. It wasn't that big of a deal. We were just having fun. It was Christmas. It was the return of Jason Quitt. That's all it was. That's all it was.
I have a Christmas tree in my living room right now.
Oh man, a pagan Christmas tree. So here's the deal. The three kings are three stars in the sky. Right? And you don't have to agree with me. I want to argue about this. You pagan god, you. Okay, so and is that a way for Christianity to create the origin story and the myth to fit what was going on in the Bible? And then over the next couple of thousand years, we arrive at 2021, and it is now part of our history. But the origins were in the sky. They weren't necessarily in the ground. Three dudes walking across the desert with three chests of these gifts. That it happened as a star religion in the sky first.
Yeah. And last, was it a couple of years ago, we did Quitmas, and we really got into this. So I don't know if I want to repeat everything, because that's a long story. But the short of it is that on on December 24th, the night of December 24th, Orion's belt, the three kings, or the three wise men, align vertically in the sky, pointing down to the star Sirius coming onto the horizon, which is the brightest star in the sky. So it's the Star of Bethlehem. Now, that star is very important for the summer solstice because on December 25th is the time when the sun returns back to, because remember, the sun is the furthest distance from the northern hemisphere on December 24th.
The day before. Yes.
From the 21st to the 24th.
Yes.
It stays there for like 3 days.
Yes.
Under the horizon. And on December 25th, the sun rises again to start coming back into the northern horizon. So the sun miraculously is born again after 3 days of being dead. And it and the star of Sirius, the Star of Bethlehem, is right above. It's the morning star of the sun. So as Sirius rises, it brings the sun up right underneath it.
Right.
So that's how it was celebrated.
And that's the birth.
That's the birth.
That's the birth. And now, oh man, there are billions of Christians on this planet that hear this and call blasphemy and heresy that this isn't it. We're going against everything that has been established clearly. And why do you think there is this angst in going at this? Or is it just something as simple as accepting the winter solstice and what was happening in the sky and the pagan side of things, because that is what we're talking about here, and Christianity, and that the two merged, and that's okay?
Well, today and also in the past, it was about blind faith. And if you went against the church, you would be persecuted.
Yes.
So
yes.
There was a fear to going against what the church said. The issue that I have is that the people that wrote this scripture, all right, let's say, and it's quite possible that there was a literal Jesus,
yes,
walking the face of the earth.
I don't have problems with that.
And there was his 12 disciples, just as they say it. These were real people that lived, all right? And they wrote the Gospels, okay? They're the ones who hid this in the material for us to discover, okay? So it's like someone may get angry at me for showing these hidden symbols within the scripture, but I'm not the one who discovered it. This has been known for thousands of years, and these very intelligent people who wrote these Gospels hid this in there for us to find. So it's not blasphemy to me. This is like discovering the Easter egg in the scripture.
The pagan Easter egg. Yeah, the pagan Easter egg in the scripture. And when you go back and you look at, anybody can do this. You go and you look at the origins of Easter, not the biblical side. I'm talking about Easter. Easter is a friggin' pagan holiday. Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's shocking when you see that. Now let's talk about the other side of Quit Miss. For me, and I think for many others, you take the spiritual side out of this, you take the biblical side, you take Jesus out of it. And we are talking about the gathering of families, the joy of Christmas, the look on children's faces when they come out and see those presents, and you have a great dinner, and you have that celebration of family. What is wrong with that? Jesus is not in the picture. I'm talking about stockings on the fireplace, right? And old Saint Nick and Rudolph and the decorations on the tree and the celebration of Christmas in that fashion. What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Nothing at all. And we are part of this earth. People forget this. We are, in certain religions, for some reason, they're demonizing our connection to the planet, our connection to nature. And we are part of that nature. We are part of those natural cycles. If we didn't have those natural cycles, we wouldn't be here. So to demonize the natural world that we live in and breathe in, it doesn't make any sense to me. And that's why I said that's why I love talking about this information, because for me, it doesn't dismiss Scripture. It actually makes Scripture more powerful, to me at least. I see it as a more spiritual thing.
One of the things about being a parent, and you're going to be a parent soon, I can't wait to see a little Quitt running around the house. Monica. Monica's tripping right now. Church, stop it. But one of the things about being a parent that I could not wait for was to instill in my children what I went through as a kid. I wanted them to experience the same things of what Christmas was and the mystery of how Santa's going to pull this off, right? All of the Christmas cartoons and TV shows and all of that. I couldn't wait for that because that's an experience that I went through that I need to try to relive, and I'm going to relive that through my kids. And it was one of the best parts of being a parent was that age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It was an unbelievable thing to go through. And I don't find any issues with that at all. Zero. And anybody could try to argue and debate this point with me. You're going to lose. And I did it through my kids, and I hope that they do the same thing with theirs.
Yeah, and that is the way to pass the information through the generations. And I would totally do the same.
Do you think that there will be a point in history where we do go back and start to teach these things? Not old Saint Nick and Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. I'm talking about the origins of the Three Kings and Orion and Sirius and what was witnessed not only in Jerusalem and the middle, but all around the world. That these the birth of the sun and the start of a new year was experienced by every culture on this planet. We should just go back and identify that and teach it. Are we ever going to get to that point?
I really hope so. I think that we need to come together and go back into the history and say, this is what the Neolithic people, our ancestors, used to get us to where we are today. And if we deny that history, we're denying a huge part of human history. So for me, it's historical. These stories are historical, and they need to be preserved for the future.
So we've established in this last segment of the show that Christmas is an Egyptian holiday. There you go. Right? That's
Well, wait, I didn't even tell you about frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Totally sidetracked.
Oh, we've got 3 minutes. Go.
Oh my God.
Can you do it? Yeah, you can. The pressure's on.
I'll just say this, okay? So in 246 BCE, okay, a king from Greece went to the temple of Apollo to make an offering. Okay, this is 200 plus years before
Jesus. Yes.
And what was his offering to the god Apollo? It was frankincense, myrrh, and gold. All right? So frankincense, myrrh, and gold was traditionally given to solar gods in the temple. There's a history towards this. Now, if you go way back to the story of Isis and Osiris, oh man, I need time. Okay, so Osiris was killed by Set. Isis put him back together, magically resurrected him long enough to have a son, which is Horus. But Osiris became the first mummy. And Osiris, or the mummification process, the main tool of mummification is myrrh. You can't mummify without myrrh. It's the element that preserves the body. They literally stuffed the body with myrrh resin. Okay? Even Isis was known as the Lady of Myrrh because she was the Lady of Mummification. Now, when Osiris died, there's a text where it says, Ra, the eye of Ra cried, and his tears gave the earth the resins, the incense, the gums, all the products of the trees, the frankincense and myrrh. And they said this was the gift to the world through Isis and through Ra, so that we have the tools of resurrection, because she used the myrrh to resurrect Osiris, to be living again. This is the root. So in the temples of Egypt, the offerings for the gods, especially the god Ra, were frankincense, myrrh, gold, and that was it. So when you would come to the temple, you would bring the incense of frankincense and myrrh. Gold was the embodiment, the physical essence, the heavenly metal of Ra, because Ra is the sun, gold is the indestructible golden metal. So that was the physical object of Ra that was offered in the temple. That's where we get, gold, why it was so popular back then. Frankincense was burned every morning at sunrise in the temple. Myrrh was burned in the afternoon. And at nighttime, a combination of frankincense and myrrh was burned in the temple. And the fumes and the incense of the frankincense and myrrh filled the temple. And the incense were known as the spirit of Ra, was the smoke, was the spirit. You can't see the god, but you could smell the god. He was invisible, but you can experience his presence through the smells of frankincense and myrrh. So frankincense, myrrh, and gold became the most significant offerings to the temples of ancient Egypt to honor the sun, Ra. And that's how it became tradition for all kings when they went to the temples or to go to other kingdoms to offer them frankincense, myrrh, and gold.
Jason Quitt, I'm so proud to call you friend. Thank you so much. And what a great night on the show. Now, see, you relaxed. Yeah. Did you have fun tonight?
I did.
Now,
I did.
We will schedule everybody. You can relax. We'll get a Quitspiracy coming very, very soon. Right now, Jason needs to finish his book. He's got a couple of weeks left to the Egyptian holiday of Christmas on December 25th. Thank you so much, Jason. Give my best to Monica, and congratulations on the expansion of your family.
Thank you.
You're the best. Jason Quitt, what a great night on the show. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as the two of us did. Thank you so much, Jason. Again, have a great holiday. Thank you, Jason. Have a good night. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a perfect night on the show. Absolutely divine and perfect. Jason, just stay right there, and we'll talk after the show. We'll circle right back. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Tomorrow night, live from Peru, Jorge Luis Delgado. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.